Whether you just unlocked your ship or you're tired of getting your planks hammered here in Windrose, in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to go from the average everyday sailor to the master of the seas captain. And so here's how combat actually works. In order for you to have cannons on your ship to actually do damage to other pirate ships, you're going to need to go back to your ship's Warth at your house. If you have not unlocked this yet or have not built it yet, go ahead and build it from your building menu. Once you go ahead and do so, access it and you can see that you can craft the 12-pound cannons. You will eventually get additional cannons, and you can upgrade these cannons, even higher as you get more materials. But for now, we're going to craft the basic ones, throw them in on your ship. Again, using the Warth or being in close proximity of the Warth on your ship, you'll be able to then drag and drop the cannons inside. This will then equip the cannons on your boat, and one really cool thing, the ammo source is actually infinite, so you don't need to worry about that. So early on, for your first ship specifically, the easiest way to win fights is to rotate between two sides. Usually, you want to stick to either your front side in a left side or your front side in the right side. And you want to just try to keep that rhythm going. You basically shoot, reposition, shoot, and reposition. It's honestly about a lot of control and patience and just waiting to time the shots out perfectly and make sure that you are constantly maneuvering your boat to potentially not take any hits from the enemy ship. One thing the game does not tell you for some reason that I think is a huge thing to know, and that is the back of the ship or the butt of the ship or whatever you want to call it actually is the critical point. You will see the numbers will actually change in color to be this yellowish gold color. That lets you know that it was actually a critical strike and you are doing more damage. So if you have the ability to, definitely aim for the back of the ship. And that brings us to another good point here. If you are struggling to keep up with a ship, as in meaning chasing it down or shooting it, or maybe it's, a little bit faster than your ship because there are different ships in the game, then there's something that you can actually use, and that is your second shot. You can see down at the bottom in the middle of your screen, you have the standard cannon, and then the second one is like a scatter shot or a chain shot. Basically, it's multiple, balls together. It doesn't shoot quite as far, but one thing to note is that it is actually made to shoot at the sails, not the side of the boat. This, what it will actually do is use to tangle up and damage the sails, meaning that the boat will slow down and can't go as fast or maneuver as fast. And then if it hits, you'll see this little icon, and then it will slow down that vessel, so then you can potentially catch up easily, and then obviously continue to blast it with your other cannons. This one also does have a cooldown, and keep in mind that just because the ship is slowing down or coming to a halt doesn't mean that they also can't still shoot back at you. So again, just make sure you're constantly moving. And now, speaking on taking damage, that brings us to two things that will help you stay alive longer than anything else. That brings us to one, repair kits. You guys can see these here. They're basically your health potion for your ship. You can read each individual one. There's different tier levels for them that you can utilize. Once you do unlock these, and you can start crafting them, keep them in your ship's inventory at all times, and this will allow you to repair your ship on the go. The second item that I recommend you guys utilize, and that is the grog buffs. It looks like this barrel, as you can see here, and it basically provides you additional damage, additional reload speed, and just survivability in general. The ones I'm showing you here at the moment are related to reload speed, but make sure once you do unlock these and find them, again, place these inside of your ship to have them on you at hand when you need them, and then utilize them, or make sure you utilize them before entering in a fight. Now let's talk about the real money maker here, and that comes to boarding ships. All right, when you get a ship's health down so low from hitting it with cannons and such, it will then give you this icon. Pull up beside it or as close as you can get to it, hit the button, whatever your hotkey button is set to, it'll say board ship, and then your ship will then basically pivot, land right next to it parallel, and that would give you and your crewmates the ability to cross from your ship to their ship to immediately engage in combat. Now, a little quick tip here, you don't actually have to jump across board right away. You actually can just stay on your ship if you've got a ranged weapon of sorts and, pick off some of the crewmates from your ship. They haven't seemed to shoot back for whatever reason, at least I haven't experienced that yet. Now, of course, once you're on board here, the objective is pretty simple. You're just going to try to kill as many sailors as you possibly can and sergeants. There'll be like a little objective in the top right-hand side. Once you successfully complete that, well, then it will count this boarding as complete, and in order for you to collect any booty or loot or treasures from this, boarding action, you're going to need to go back to your ship and then go ahead and activate, the helm to kind of drive away. Once you do, that will then basically disengage you from the boarding activity. That enemy ship will then sink, and then you'll be able to collect the rewards. Now, with that being said, I've got a trick for you guys, and this is going to be something that will make you loads and loads of money in the game, and it works very well, not just for you, but also for if you're playing in a cooperative session. When it comes to boarding in Windrose, only one player can technically use the boarding action, right? Pressing the space bar and your ship will parallel park next to the enemies, and you're basically connected and will float there until you end the boarding action. Only one player can technically do that. However, what is important to know is that all party members, all players on that server actually can still participate and get rewarded, especially when it comes to getting money. What has to happen is every player that wants to partake has to be on the enemy ship at the time of you completing the boarding process, meaning killing all of the sailors on that ship. Once you do, at that point, then every player will get the money reward associated with that boarding based on the level, based on, the rarity, all of that kind of stuff. This is literally the best way to earn money, and the fastest way to earn money in the game is by just going around and boarding a bunch of ships. And if you guys are not the person who actually used the boarding action, well, then you can also still get on the enemy ship two ways. One, park your ship as close as you can to them to then hop from yours to theirs, or you can jump in the water close enough and then swim over to the enemy boat, just like you do yours. You can press E or whatever your hotkey is to then climb the enemy's ship to then help your friends, take on and kill all of the sailors or whatever the objective number is. And like I said, as long as you're on the boat, you will still also receive the money reward. Also, two important things to note. One, the player who actually does the docking animation is the only person who can actually collect the end of the boarding rewards, okay? So you get the gold, everybody gets that, but then you also will get an additional, reward or supplies and stuff from that enemy's vessel, but that does not stack. Only the person who actually did the boarding animation will get that reward. And secondly, this only works when it comes to the boarding process of the ship, okay? If you happen to shoot and actually sink the enemy ship without doing the boarding animation, only you will be able to collect those rewards and not everybody else from helping you destroy that ship. So just keep that in mind. And now another really cool thing about the boarding animation on ships, like let's say you're getting ganked by a bunch of higher level ships. If you happen to get at least one ship down far enough so that you can start the boarding process, once you actually engage or hit the boarding process and your boat does the parallel thing, it will disengage all of the other boats, which is very nice and very handy when it comes to saving you if you are about to die. Even if you have zero intention to take on this entire fleet of ships, and let's, like I said it was an accident, and maybe you have no intention to continue the boarding process of the ship that you're currently, boarded up against, as long as you do nothing, you can just literally sit there and float. And what you should be doing at this point is accessing your ship's inventory with Q, and then utilizing repair kits and stuff to then fully heal your ship back to full health prior to making your next move. It's a really nice tip and trick here if you happen to utilize it at the right moment, and it can potentially save you in a pinch if you happen to get stuck in a situation like this. And speaking of repairing your boat and taking damage, because it is going to be inevitable here, something that you need to know is there's actually multiple ways, specifically two ways to repair your ship. One, the repair kits, as we talked about earlier, that you can have in your ship's inventory that you can craft yourself, okay? But there's also a second way to do it, and that is the ship wharf, or the crafting bench for your ship. If you go and visit either the bench or you're in close proximity to that bench, you access your ship, you'll be able to then see in the bottom right-hand side a percentage, which is the health percentage, like durability or, whatever, health, whatever you want to call it. If you click on that down there, you can see for only 20 wood, you can fully restore the ship's health back to 100%. Now, I don't know if this is a glitch or if this is how it is actually intended, but it only costs 20 wood no matter the durability or the health percentage of your ship. So whether you're down to 1% or you have 99% and you use this option, it still costs 20 wood, which I think is absolutely dirt cheap compared to what you would expect and potentially what you would need to craft some of these repair kits of the different rarities to repair it on the go. So again, really nice feature. Make sure you're utilizing this to your advantage when you're not in combat, of course. Otherwise, you got to use the repair kits because they are basically the health potion here for your ship. So let's talk about the money that you're going to be stockpiling and what can you use it for and how it relates to the ship combat. Well, all around the entire map here for Windrose, you're going to uncover individual factions. These individual factions will have a vendor that sells different items for this said money. You're going to want to take a look at all of their wares before using the money and spending it, especially early game. All right, they're going to sell items that will be direct upgrades for for your ship. It could be better cannons, it could be different style cannons, it could be even modifiers, it could be different things that give your ships benefits. My personal favorite that I absolutely think is a game changer for any player, whether you're new or late game, is from the smugglers actually in Tortuga. So once you get to Tortuga, you'll see the smugglers of the Port Royal faction. Go ahead and talk to them, build up your reputation, unlock the store. Once you do, you can take a look at all the individual benefits and perks and passive perks and stuff that you can buy with this said money to then upgrade your ship. Again, I think it is a very good investment, and it makes a massive difference when it comes to you surviving on the seas or just being a simple sailor. Now that you're a master baiter, I mean captain here of the seas, and know everything you need to know about combat and battling other ships and destroying them, be sure to share this video with your friend. Drop a like here on the video if you enjoyed this and found it valuable. Subscribe here to the channel to help not only yourself with more videos for Windrose, but also me hit 100,000 subscribers here, hopefully by the end of 2026. And with that being said, as always, guys, I'll see ya on the next one.